who left a crowd of people, sailed across a sea to another country to cast devils out of a man. My God, this preacher won't talk about money and devils. This is how you build a church right here. Understand that you have the authority. If Jesus sailed across a sea, I'm going to cuss if I keep saying that. If he jumped in a ship and sailed across a sea to cast the devil out, we ought to be okay with that. We ought to be getting ready for that. As a matter of fact, because you never know how Jesus in you is going to need to use you. Come on now, he's not just in you because he needs a room for the night. He didn't just need a place to stay, so he chose your heart. Remember, you asked him in. He came in. He's going to give you salvation. He's going to give you eternal life. In that, he needs you to reflect him. If it calls casting a foul spirit out of somebody, he's equipped you. He just needs you to be obedient to do it. So anyway, we're not going to cast out devils tonight. Thank you for not leaving there. Y'all doing really good today. Y'all doing really good not leaving on these topics. But I just wanted to say that to set the scenario that Jesus went to minister to somebody even though he had to cross the sea to do it. He turned around and come back to a crowd of people that he tried to get away from. I guess he thought it would kind of dissolve a little bit. Nonetheless, it didn't. And in Luke 8, we pick up on it in chapter 8, verse 40. Came back in verse 40 said it, so it was when Jesus returned that the multitude welcomed him. That's always good when the multitude is welcoming you. If they're not, you need to go somewhere else. But I'm glad he said they welcomed him. It was okay. They were looking for him. They've been looking for Messiah. That's why they didn't let some of the things he do kind of detour them. They had been looking for him, for they were all waiting for him. Verse 41 says, and behold, there was a man named Jairus. I'll say it like that. And he was the ruler of a synagogue. And he fell down at Jesus' feet and begged him to come to his house. He had only a daughter about 12 years of age. She was dying. But he went there. But as he went, the multitudes thronged him. The multitude, that's not what we normally use. I'll break it down here in just a minute. Now, a woman having a flow of blood from 12 years, who had spent all of her livelihood on physicians and could not be healed by any, came from behind and touched the border of his garments. And go to verse 45, the first line. And Jesus said, who touched me? Can I go back to verse 44 and remind you that he's in a crowd of people? And the word thronged, it means to choke down the flow, to stop the progression. There were so many people, much like Mardi Gras. If I could say that, we can only use stuff like that around here because it's the only time people gather in such masses and they get mad at churches for doing that. So we're just going through. That's the best example you could have. It was such a crowd of people that as he tried to walk, he couldn't walk at the same pace. It slowed him down. He was trying to go heal this 12-year-old who was dying. And he couldn't move around. And I started to do a visual and get a bunch of people up here and try to walk through them. Be bumping shoulders, hitting elbows, all kind of stuff. And Jesus is all of a sudden said, who touched me? I like it. He looked at me. He said, you mean all these people and you're going to ask me, who touched you? All these crowds of people. Messiah. I don't know if he said Messiah or Jesus or bro or whatever he said. But he looked at me and said, all these people, we can't even walk like we was walking. We done hit this multitude of people and we can't hardly move. And all you got to ask me is who touched you? Everybody done touched you. You've been walking for 10 feet and it's everybody in the last 10 feet touched you. What you mean? Jesus says, somebody touched me. Touch your neighbor and say, somebody touched me. Touch your other neighbor and say, who touched me? Tell your neighbor, fool, it's the other one. The preacher just told him to touch you. Who touched me? I want to talk to you today for just a moment about touching the Lord. Because we're in a society today who just wants to come to church so they can be touched. And not worry about touching who really come to touch them. I don't mean to condemn our society, but I do want to persuade your thought and mentality to be able to look and say, when I go to church, I don't go for them to see my new shoes, my suit, what car I'm driving today, how many kids I got or I don't have, if I'm free from all that, what I'm struggling with. I just come to touch the Lord. That's what, can I just say that? we come to his house for. It's not for him to always touch us, but it's more about can we touch him today? Can I get away from our selfish mentality and thinking here in our society in the United States of America of it's all about me? It's not all about you. It's about you touching him. Listen, there was a time when you was nothing and he put his hands on you and made you something. There was a time when you were nothing but the dust of the ground, just the dirt of the earth, and he reached and piled you up and made something out of you, and he called you and he called on you, and that's what he knows about you. And every now and then he looks for you to come back and touch him. Jesus said, who touched me? Must have been a strange touch. We'll get to that in here in just a minute. Go to Psalms 102. Psalms 102, and I promise not to be too long today. But however, that seems to be a little bit out of my control today. I hope you're all right with that. Psalms 102, we got the psalmist here. David's getting older in age here, and his son kind of wanting to take over. Absalom's kind of wanting to take over, and he's seeing that adversity is coming against him. Matter of fact, this is entitled the prayer of affliction in 102, and I'll read the first 7 verses. It says, hear my prayer, O Lord, and let my cry come to you. Do not hide your face from me in the day of my trouble. Incline your ear to me in the day that I call, and answer speedily. For my days are consumed like smoke, and my bones are burned like the earth, and the heart is stricken and withered like the grass, so that I forgot to eat my bread. Because of the sound of my groaning, my bones cling to my skin. I am like the pelican of the wilderness, and like the owl of the desert. I lie awake, and I am like the sparrow alone in the housetop. Preacher, how'd you get to all that? I'll tell you, I just try to follow him. And I'm looking at the position of the psalmist mentality here, who says, I'm struggling right now. 7 verses, and that's all he said. I'm in a struggle of my life right now. When he starts talking about his skin is cleaving to his bone, that means physically he is deteriorating within his own self. He even forgot to eat what would sustain his life. There's just things in his life that is just quickly going down. Who is this? This is David who defeated Goliath. This is King David, great man, warrior, who's in a place of affliction. A place of affliction in Psalms 102, but we turn the page and just one chapter later, I need to bring your focus to Psalms 103. It says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all of his benefits, who forgives us of your iniquities, who heals you of your diseases, who redeems you from destruction, who crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfies your mouth with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. And I don't want to blame it on turkey season, but I don't know what's up with these birds right here. I don't really know what's going on with that, but all of a sudden I can see that there's a parallel that the pelican in the wilderness in 102 and the owl in the desert in 102 and the lonely sparrow on the rooftop in 102, and all of a sudden now the same psalmist is looking and saying my youth has been restored as the youth of an eagle. I don't know about you, but I feel help coming to me when I start thinking about it, because I get in a place of affliction every now and then. Everything don't just go perfect for the preacher all the time either. Sometimes I got to get out and say, I feel like, well, I don't know about the skin ever cleaving to my bones at this point, but anyway, sometimes I feel like, God, I just need you to get me out of this right here. I need you to meet and understand where I've been, but I know where I need to find you, and I find you right now. Sometimes I get stuck in Psalm 2, but I need to introduce to you the fact today. If you feel like you're an owl in the desert, if you feel like a pelican in the wilderness or a lonely sparrow in the rooftop, I need to let you keep on reading. I need you to press on and bless the Lord, my soul, and all that is within me, because there's youth in you that he's wanting to restore. Well, that's a good preaching point. Good place to stop and get some water. But I need to look and see what's changed here. What shifted here? How did we go from a lone sparrow in a rooftop to an eagle who's been restored in one song. And the Lord showed me. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Can I just right there? While we teaching this morning, let me elaborate. Your soul is not just something you sing about when you sing in the blues. Your soul is not some relation that you have with every blues joint you ever been in. Your soul is not the color of your skin. I just go on and hit that racist devil right now. That has nothing to do with your epidermis. Your soul has nothing to do with it. Your soul, watch this, is your mind, your will, and your emotions. That's why the blues affect you so much, and that's why you look at it as being soulish music. It's because it does affect your soul. It affects your mind, your will, and your emotions. But I like the way David was looking at it, and he told his soul to bless the Lord. That would only lead for you to have to every now and then speak to your mind and say, mind, I know that's how you thinking, but you ain't going to think like that today. Will, I know this is how you feel and how they have afflicted you, and this is what you want to do. This can't be the will of a Christian today. This can't be the will of a son of a God. I've got to be able to break the will in my life. My emotions, I can't just feel like that because it's rainy today. I'm not going to be depressed because a cloud showed up and it's cloudy out there and I ain't seen the sun in 3 days. Can I talk to you? I know the week you've been in. I've been in the same week. I got mud 2 inches deep in my yard too. It's been raining every day at my house too. But I can't get depressed. I can't be worried about what it looks like outside. I can't even reflect on my destiny. I got to tell my soul, bless the Lord. Oh, my soul. And all that is within me. Bless his name. So that's a key to being able to transition from 102 to 103. If you're writing it down, if you're tweeting it, if you're putting it in your phone, put that. You need to learn how to bless the Lord no matter what your mind says, what your will is, or how your emotions tell you ought to feel today. I hope you're chewing. It gets better. I promise it gets better. He says it again in verse 2. He says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all of his benefits. They didn't always teach you about benefits in church, but I don't mind telling you here at New Beginnings Outreach, it's very beneficial to be a Christian, to carry the name of Christ, to be a child of the Most High and Living King. It is very beneficial, whether they want to tell you or not. I will tell you that you have some benefits. I'm glad you asked. We'll look at a few of them right here, because the problem seems to be that we forget. Some of you reading ahead of me right here. He said, and do not forget. So that means we're up to forgetting. I'm talking